Look at these two images. Left, a boy who weighs 125 pounds after a heavy meal. Right, a man worshipped as a living god of muscle. Believe it or not, this is the same person. This is Hwang Chul Soon. The transformation is so extreme, it looks like science fiction. The skinny teenager with hollow cheeks and stick-thin arms somehow became a 220-pound muscle monster with an 8-pack and shoulders that barely fit through doorways. It's the kind of before and after that makes you question everything you know about human potential. He's the Korean Hulk, the Asian sensation, a man who underwent one of the most shocking physical transformations in history. But is this the result of divine dedication or devilish deception? This is the incredible, controversial, and inspiring story of Chul Soon. A journey from a skinny, bullied teenager to a global phenomenon. A story that will force you to question everything you thought you knew about the limits of the human body. Our story doesn't begin in a gym, but in the harsh reality of South Korea. Hwang Chul Soon wasn't a born athlete. He was an ugly duckling, a skinny boy constantly bullied and scorned for his frail build. In a society that valued strength and masculinity, he possessed neither. But let's understand where this obsession came from. South Korean society in the 1990s and early 2000s was brutally competitive and appearance-focused. Physical weakness wasn't just a personal failing, it was a social death sentence. Chul Soon experienced this firsthand throughout his teenage years. School was a daily nightmare. Bigger kids would push him around, steal his lunch money, and mock his skeletal frame. Teachers would overlook him for sports teams and leadership roles. Even his own family expressed disappointment in his physical development, comparing him unfavorably to more robust cousins and neighbors. The psychological impact was devastating. Chul soon developed what psychologists call body dysmorphia, an obsessive preoccupation with perceived flaws in his appearance. But unlike most people with this condition, who see flaws that don't exist, Chul Soon's perceived inadequacies were very real. He was genuinely underweight, weak, and physically underdeveloped. At 20 years old, after years of humiliation, he made a decision that would change his life forever. He would build a body so impressive that no one would ever dare to despise him again. It was a deep, burning insecurity, a desire to command respect, to be seen, to overcome the pain of invisibility. He started with sit-ups and push-ups, 3,000 per day, a testament to his almost maniacal dedication. Those early days were brutal. Chul Soon would wake up at 4 a.m. to do bodyweight exercises before school. He'd do push-ups until his arms gave out, then switch to sit-ups until his abs cramped. He'd do squats until his legs shook, then start over. This wasn't training. It was self-punishment disguised as self-improvement. His first encounter with serious bodybuilding came through magazines smuggled in from America. Seeing images of Arnold Schwarzenegger, Frank Zane, and other golden era legends was a revelation. These men had built their bodies into works of art, and Chul soon became obsessed with the idea that he could do the same. But he didn't just want to be big, he wanted to be perfect. Chul soon studied every pose, every angle, every detail of the classic physiques. He memorized the proportions, the symmetry, the flow from one muscle group to another. He wasn't just building muscle, he was sculpting a masterpiece. His journey was a 12-year odyssey of extreme training and nutrition. He embraced an old-school bodybuilding approach, heavy compound exercises, combined with a diet rich in protein and carbohydrates. He ate up to 8 meals a day, consuming kilos of chicken, brown rice, and bananas. The dedication was inhuman. Chul Soon's day revolved entirely around his transformation. He would wake up at 5 a.m. for his first meal, train for 3 to 4 hours, eat again, work his day job, eat again, train again in the evening, eat again, and go to bed early to maximize recovery. This schedule continued for years without deviation. His training philosophy was unique. He didn't believe in extremely heavy lifting at the expense of form. He focused on the mind-muscle connection, on feeling every contraction, creating a perfect aesthetic form. He was both a builder and a sculptor. Every exercise was performed with artistic precision. His bicep curls weren't just about moving weight, they were about creating the perfect peak, the ideal shape. His chest exercises weren't just about building mass, they were about crafting the perfect pectoral sweep. He approached bodybuilding like Michelangelo approached marble. The nutrition was equally obsessive. Chul Soon didn't just eat for fuel, he ate for transformation. Every meal was calculated, every macro tracked, every calorie accounted for. He would prepare his meals days in advance, weighing portions to the gram, timing his intake to optimize muscle protein synthesis. His typical day included chicken breast and rice for breakfast, more chicken and rice for lunch, chicken and sweet potatoes for dinner, and protein shakes between meals. It sounds monotonous, but for Chul Soon, it was the fuel for his metamorphosis. He ate the same foods for years, never deviating from his plan. Success came quickly. He dominated the Muscle Mania Federation, an organization known for its drug testing. He won the world title 4 times and became a superstar in Asia and beyond. He was proof that a skinny Korean boy could grow into one of the most impressive bodybuilders in the world. But with fame came questions. His transformation was too impressive. His muscles were too full, his waist too narrow, his overall look too 3D to be natural. The bodybuilding community, always skeptical, began to whisper, and the whispers became a scream. The accusations started almost immediately after his first major victory. Experienced bodybuilders and coaches looked at his physique and saw things that didn't add up. His muscle maturity was beyond his training age. His conditioning was too extreme for someone claiming natural status. His rate of progress defied the normal timelines of natural muscle building. The evidence against his natural status was circumstantial but compelling. His shoulder development showed the telltale signs of anabolic steroid use, the 3D, capped appearance that's virtually impossible to achieve naturally. His ability to maintain extreme leanness while continuing to build muscle violated the basic principles of natural bodybuilding. More damning was his transformation timeline. Natural bodybuilders typically take 5 to 10 years to build impressive physiques, and even then, they rarely achieve the level of muscle maturity and conditioning that Chul Soon displayed. His 12-year transformation, while impressive in duration, showed changes that seemed to accelerate beyond natural rates. The bodybuilding community became obsessed with analyzing his photos, looking for signs of steroid use. They pointed to his skin quality, his muscle fullness, his vascularity, all indicators that suggested pharmaceutical enhancement. YouTube channels dedicated entire videos to breaking down his physique and explaining why his natural claims were implausible. He's trapped in a paradox. His incredible transformation is the source of his fame, but also the source of his controversy. He's the victim of his own success. The harder he works, the more impressive he becomes, the less people believe him. He can't win. Chul Soon's response to the accusations was always the same: denial, followed by appeals to his drug test results and his years of hard work. He would point to his genetics, his dedication, his superior training methods. But the fitness community remained unconvinced. The pressure of constant skepticism and fame took its toll. Recent legal troubles, including a conviction for assault, have cast a shadow on his image as the cheerful, inspiring champion. The monster he had created to protect himself seemed to be turning against him. The assault case revealed a darker side of Chul Soon's personality. The incident involved a dispute with another gym member that escalated to violence. For someone who had built his image on discipline and self-control, the conviction was devastating to his reputation. What is the true legacy of Chul Soon? Is he a liar or a legend? A cheater or one of the hardest-working bodybuilders of all time? The answer might be both. Consider what Chul Soon actually accomplished, regardless of the methods. He took a body that was genuinely underdeveloped and transformed it into something extraordinary. The discipline required for that transformation, the daily training, the strict nutrition, the mental fortitude, is remarkable regardless of pharmaceutical assistance. His influence on Asian bodybuilding cannot be overstated. Before Chul Soon, Asian bodybuilders were often overlooked in the international scene. He proved that genetics weren't destiny, that with enough dedication, anyone could build an impressive physique. He inspired an entire generation of Asian lifters to pursue bodybuilding seriously. The aesthetic he created was genuinely unique. Chul Soon's physique combined the mass of modern bodybuilding with the flow and proportion of the golden era. His poses were artistic, his presentation was flawless, and his overall look was undeniably impressive. Whether natural or enhanced, he created something beautiful. The lesson isn't a confession or an apology, but the acceptance of his status as a mythical figure. He's a living comic book character, an anime character come to life. Maybe the question, natty or not, isn't the right question. Maybe the real question is, isn't it incredible that a human being can achieve this, regardless of the method? The fitness industry has always been built on inspiration and aspiration. People don't follow bodybuilders because they're natural. They follow them because they represent the extreme limits of human potential. Chul Soon embodies that aspiration, whether his methods were entirely natural or not. Chul Soon will always remain an enigma, a symbol of the extreme possibilities of the human body and the eternal doubt that comes with extraordinary achievements. He's the echo of our own desires and our own distrust. He's proof that you can come from the bottom and transform yourself into something unrecognizable. But his story is also a warning about the price of that transformation, a life under a magnifying glass, where your greatest achievement is also your greatest sin. The broader implications of Chul Soon's story extend beyond bodybuilding. In our social media age, we're all constantly presenting curated versions of ourselves, highlighting our successes while hiding our struggles and shortcuts. Chul Soon's controversy reflects our collective anxiety about authenticity in a world where image often matters more than reality. His transformation also speaks to deeper human desires, the wish to reinvent ourselves, to overcome our limitations, to become something greater than we were born to be. Whether achieved naturally or with assistance, that transformation represents hope for anyone who has ever felt inadequate or overlooked. The question of his natural status may never be definitively answered. Drug tests can be circumvented, genetics can be exceptional, and dedication can achieve remarkable things. But perhaps the ambiguity is part of the appeal. Chul Soon exists in the space between possible and impossible, between natural and enhanced, between inspiration and deception. What's undeniable is the impact he's had on the fitness world. Millions of people have been inspired by his transformation to start their own fitness journeys. Countless individuals have pushed themselves harder in the gym because they saw what Chul Soon achieved. Whether his methods were entirely natural or not, the motivation he's provided is real and valuable. In the end, Chul Soon's legacy isn't just about muscle and aesthetics, it's about the power of transformation itself. He proved that we don't have to accept the limitations we're born with, that with enough dedication and the right approach, we can become something extraordinary. But there's another layer to Chul Soon's story that makes it even more compelling and controversial. The cultural context of his transformation and what it represents for Asian masculinity and body image. In traditional Korean culture, physical appearance has always been important, but the ideals were different from Western bodybuilding standards. The Confucian emphasis on scholarly achievement often meant that intellectual pursuits were valued over physical development. Chul Soon's obsession with building muscle was, in many ways, a rebellion against these traditional values. His transformation coincided with South Korea's rapid modernization and increasing exposure to Western culture. The country was experiencing an identity crisis caught between traditional values and modern aspirations. Chul Soon's physique represented a new kind of Korean masculinity, one that could compete on the global stage, that refused to accept stereotypes about Asian physical limitations. The psychological aspects of his transformation are equally fascinating. Body dysmorphia, the condition that likely drove his initial obsession, doesn't simply disappear when you build muscle. Many bodybuilders report that no matter how big they get, they still see the skinny person they used to be when they look in the mirror. This perpetual dissatisfaction can drive continuous improvement, but it can also lead to dangerous extremes. Chul Soon's social media presence reveals hints of this ongoing struggle. Despite his massive physique and global fame, his posts often focus on areas he wants to improve, muscles he thinks are lagging, or new goals he wants to achieve. The skinny, insecure teenager seems to still exist somewhere inside the muscle monster, constantly pushing for more. The business side of his transformation is also worth examining. Chul Soon has successfully monetized his physique through sponsorships, appearances, and his own supplement line. His transformation from bullied teenager to successful entrepreneur is as impressive as his physical change. He's proven that in the modern economy, a compelling personal brand can be more valuable than traditional credentials. His influence on the supplement industry has been significant. Korean and Asian supplement companies have used his image to market their products, suggesting that his physique is achievable through their formulations. Whether this is ethical marketing or misleading advertising depends largely on whether you believe his natural claims. The legal troubles that have plagued him in recent years add another dimension to his story. The assault conviction wasn't just a personal failing, it was a public relations disaster that damaged his carefully cultivated image. It raised questions about whether the discipline and self-control he preached were genuine or just part of his public persona. The incident also highlighted the pressure that comes with being a public figure in the social media age. Every action is scrutinized, every mistake is amplified, and the gap between public image and private reality can become a source of tremendous stress. For someone who built his identity around physical and mental discipline, any display of loss of control is particularly damaging. Chul Soon's story also reflects broader trends in the fitness industry. The rise of social media has created new opportunities for fitness influencers, but it's also created new pressures. The need to constantly produce content, maintain engagement, and present a perfect image can be psychologically exhausting. The line between inspiration and exploitation becomes blurred when personal transformation becomes a business model. The question of performance-enhancing drug use, in his case, is complicated by the cultural context. In many Asian countries, there's still significant stigma around steroid use, more so than in Western bodybuilding communities. Admitting to drug use could have serious consequences for his career and reputation in his home country. This creates additional pressure to maintain natural claims, regardless of the truth. His competitive career in Musclemania, a tested federation, adds another layer of complexity. Either he was genuinely natural and represents an extreme outlier in human genetic potential, or he was sophisticated enough to beat drug tests consistently over many years. Both scenarios are remarkable in their own way. The testing protocols in natural bodybuilding federations are often criticized as inadequate. Many performance-enhancing drugs have short detection windows, and testing is typically only done at competitions, not year-round. A dedicated athlete with access to the right substances and knowledge could potentially compete in tested federations while still using performance-enhancing drugs during their off-season preparation. Chul Soon's legacy in the bodybuilding world is secure regardless of the controversy. He's inspired countless individuals to begin their own transformation journeys. His aesthetic has influenced a generation of bodybuilders who prioritize proportion and flow over pure mass. His success has opened doors for other Asian bodybuilders on the international stage. The debate over his natural status has also contributed to important conversations about drug testing, genetic potential, and the ethics of performance enhancement in sports. Whether intentionally or not, He's forced the bodybuilding community to examine its assumptions and biases about what's naturally achievable. Perhaps most importantly, his story demonstrates the power of narrative in the fitness industry. Whether his transformation was entirely natural or chemically assisted, the story of the skinny teenager becoming a muscle monster resonates with people because it represents hope. It suggests that we're not prisoners of our genetics, that transformation is possible, that we can become something greater than we were born to be. What do you think? Is Chul Soon one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time, or one of the greatest controversies? Does his potential use of performance-enhancing drugs diminish his achievements, or is the transformation impressive regardless of the methods? And what does his story tell us about our own relationship with authenticity and achievement? Let me know in the comments. His story continues to divide the fitness community, but one thing everyone can agree on: the transformation from that skinny teenager to the muscle monster is one of the most remarkable physical changes in human history. Thanks for watching this deep dive into one of bodybuilding's most controversial figures. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that explore the complex intersection of dedication, genetics, and controversy in the fitness world. Until next time.